julep, pop, 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 julep, pop, 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 woo!
Oh, lost my headphones. That's what happens when you get too into it. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of, what is this? Learn It Live, your future with Webflow. We don't know. We're still experimenting on Thursdays, okay? Just show up on Thursdays. We're going to talk about shit. Just be here, okay? No big deal. Tuesdays, we grow. Thursdays, we just shoot the shit. Whatever. You know, sometimes we'll learn. Sometimes we'll be here talking about cool stuff like this. So what's up, Joe? What are you thinking? Say hi.
Yeah, talking about the future. That's exciting. And, you know, Webflow gives us so many opportunities for the future that I think we're going to hear a lot of different stories, a lot of different comments from the community on this one.
Yeah.
But yeah, cool episode.
Yeah. Yeah. We even have some disclaimers. Even though
We always have disclaimers.
Yeah, they're pretty weak today, though.
Disclaimer one,
yeah.
We do not have a time machine. We don't know exactly what's going to happen. This is more speculation or just talking about what seems right, how we can approach ourselves in the future. You have anything to add to that?
Yeah. Nope. We'll talk a little bit about certain things. We'll talk about industries that could be disrupted. We'll talk about, you know, potential revenue streams. We'll talk about all sorts of stuff. We'll get into the weeds in the comments with you all. And so, but yeah, this is just our best guess, you know, based on what we see in the space right now. So anyway, disclaimer number 2 is this is intended to be a candid conversation. So who is it here? Maybe not that candid, Zach, but Zach is saying a little hungover, but not missing the fin stream. There you go. Aida, I like that Thursdays we flow. There we go. Christopher Coleman, hey, what's up? Nimesh in the house. Tony Seats, hello everyone. Glad to finally make a stream. Good to see you here. Dale Jensen in the house. Hello, Alex Pearl. Let's see who else is here. Maria. Hey, I'm so happy for Flex Gap. That's unreal. Flexbox team all the way. There you go. Seen lots of buzz about grid can be banished now. Goodbye to all the grids.
Yeah.
What are you thinking about that, Joe?
Well, we were excited about it. I'm excited about it because I'm not a big grid user. I don't like a lot of things about grid, and grid can become very confusing very quickly.
Yeah.
So I like to go flex myself. So seeing this update, now I'm thinking, wow, all of these use cases that I would normally use grid in, now I'm just going flex.
We did.
So yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah, we did the stream a couple weeks ago where we looked at the open house build and we went back and made it client first. And we looked at some of the spacing and I used these little gaps in flex. I always, every single project, even client first, whatever, I always have a flex property because I always want to put flex on something. And then I inevitably, it's whether it's 2 buttons lined up or 3 columns, just little elements. And I don't want a second row. I just want that one row, but I want some gap and I don't want to add padding. I don't want to add margin or anything. So I just create a blank div and literally call it like a, you know, 1 rem gap or whatever it is. And like I make a little 1 rem grid and I can use it vertically or horizontally, depending on what I'm flexing. And so, yeah, this eliminates the need for all that. So for sure, this will clean up all those single row grids, I think, that we're using Webflow for.
Totally. And I love the example of a 2-button row. This is so common. We have a row with 2 buttons, and it's, do we apply the margin to one of the buttons, to both of the buttons? Is it add a combo class? There's just...
Always was a combo class.
This is now the way that I'm going to do that.
It was always a combo class like is left or button right or something like that. And you just,
Goodbye.
Okay, let's see. Brianna, Aida, Daniel, Infante, hello. Christopher Coleman, time machine included with the F and Pro membership. You got it. Alex Iglesias, get to work. Babis Gabriel, what's up? Finally back on the live stream. Yeah, we missed you, Babis. It's been a while. Marissa's here. Penny, hello. Last day of the week, day off tomorrow. Okay, yeah, if you have good for anybody who's taking Friday off. Gonna enjoy a holiday weekend for some folks. Let's see. Happy to see you guys, Jariah. Let's see, Bass, another new viewer to the live audience. So welcome.
Nice.
John
welcome.
Saxon. Okay, all right. All of us are Flex fans. Yeah, we're all Flex. We all Flex. That's the Finsweet Flex. Okay, yeah, that's like a new dance. We need to get Alex Iglesias on that too. The Finsweet Flex. It's like a new hip hop dance.
I like that.
Okay, so share your thoughts in the comments. Share your thoughts in the comments with us. Let's get into this. What has you the most excited about the future of Webflow? So we're going to talk a little bit about, like how things started versus how we got there. These Thursday shows are super fluid. So feel free to jump in the comments, share your thoughts about, again, what has you excited with Webflow. I don't know, we're going to take just the first section of this, I think, to reflect a little bit. I was doing this yesterday and just kind of thinking about how far I've come in the last few years in the world of web design. We did that origin story. No, we didn't do. We talked about doing an origin story episode. I think that was like a Twitter conversation or something like that, where I was like, origin stories are great. Hearing about, how people got into the business and all of that. So I don't know, Joe, do you like ever sit and reflect or think about, like how far you've come since like you started building Webflow, or like that first website you built, and maybe not even Webflow, like just when you said, hey, I'm going to start building websites as a business. So I wonder if anybody here, takes time to look back and then what they think about, hey, if we've come this far in 3 years, imagine what the next 3 years will be.
I do. I definitely do, because I came to this industry with no knowledge about websites, no knowledge about design. I just threw myself in, I enjoyed it, and I learned it. So yeah, there are a lot of memories, vivid memories of me really being a beginner in those earlier times. So yeah, I love to look back, appreciate the growth. And it's always nice to think about future growth.
Yeah.
That's a very fun thing for me to think about. Where can I be in 1 year from now if I do this, this, and this? Where can I be in 5 years from now if I do this?
Yeah. It's always fun to kind of think and speculate about where things may go, especially with an emerging tech like Webflow. Coming from where it started versus where it is now, it's light years ahead, but the fundamental product is still the same. And so I think that's kind of what we can expect over the next few years too, is the same kind of thing, right? Fundamentally, the designer experience, I think, will stay the same, but hopefully a lot of the new functionality we talk about all the time, the back end being opened up, plugins, et cetera, e-commerce, expanded functionality, memberships, logic, all the stuff we're all, like just chomping at the bit to really explore inside of Webflow, gets us excited for the future. But let's take a look at, okay, hang on. Let's see. I just got a little YouTube offline connection, but hopefully that was just a flicker. No, it looks like we're good. I'm sorry, I lost my train of thought, Joe. Where was I?
I think you were about to ask the audience to start sharing their personal progress.
Yep.
So the prompt for today, Reimar said, what has you most excited about your future with Webflow? I would like people to answer this as more of a personal question, not as much, hey, what are you excited about Webflow? What do you think they're going to release?
Yeah.
What about you is exciting inside this ecosystem? So please, this is a really community-driven conversation. So we're going to be picking out the comments and then talking about them, talking about where you are and where you're looking to go.
Yeah, and specifically like where you might see your career trajectory. Are you a freelancer now who wants to start an agency? Do you land one project a month and you'd like to land 5 projects a month? Are you trying to move to development only? Lots of people have been talking about this switch to development only. So that's what I would like to see from you all, especially the folks in the audience who are thinking about F and Pro or who are pros. We have this pros only hangout coming up next week. The email went out about that, where we're going to talk about like accountability groups and having some small groups where we kind of learn and take some of this stuff on. So that's where I'm most interested to know is like y'all individually. We can't affect Webflow's roadmap or what they're going to release. We know memberships is coming. We know logic is coming. We know these things are coming. The timeline, we don't know that so much. But more interestingly, I think to this episode and to the conversation here is what you all see for your future, right? And maybe you're banking on some Webflow features, but there's so much potential with Webflow now. So I say let's stick with just understanding this current feature set and what we know is coming, obviously membership logic, and so we can talk and include that stuff in the convo. But yeah, I don't know. Let's take a look here and see if anything is coming in. I did see one about let's see, Fazlu. I think in the future Webflow there won't be anyone who goes like I can do it for less. I don't know what you mean there, Fazlu. Joe, any thoughts on that interpretation?
No. It looks like somebody undercutting
Yeah.
the competition, going lower. But if you re-explain that, we can bring it up.
Yeah,
again.
Fazli, take a second and maybe clarify there. Babis is saying the most exciting thing for him is the e-commerce in the future, which we're going to talk about. We got a whole section to just like industries that this could disrupt, but we can bounce around, honestly. I don't think that we need to stick to a specific flow.
Sure.
Because that's one of the things I have on the list here is like, what happens if Webflow gets to 80% feature parity with like Shopify or WooCommerce?
That's dangerous.
You know, like what happens if you could have something like the back end of one of those platforms, but the full front end control of Webflow? Like for sure, the future of e-commerce is real bright there.
What else do we have?
Let's see.
Nice comment from Joseph Bates. Thank you. Joseph says, Joe, your story at the last no code conf was totally inspiring. Gives me hope. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. Yeah, like we talked about, I love to look back, think about that story, and really come up with an appreciation for the growth. I think it's a healthy thing to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you. And those kind of comments keep me going.
Yeah. Here's a good one, Joe.
John, hoping to expand my mostly dev skill set into design to be more full service. Nice. Mostly dev with a design touch. That's dangerous. John, definitely go for it. That's a really nice skill set.
Yeah, especially if what you're talking about is, you know, because I hear this comment, and I think this is going to be a big underserved market in the world of Webflow. It's folks who have back-end experience, but are not super strong on the front end, and who have maybe, you know, like what John is saying here, you know, get some of that design stuff, especially with clonables and things like Reloom library, and then being able to like take something and put a skin on it, and just, you know, again, you don't have to now worry about writing all the front end code. Maybe you're really prolific with the back end code, and so you can do all sorts of cool stuff. You know, you can make the web do whatever you want, but if it doesn't have an interface on it, you know, it's hard for people to interact with it. So I could see Webflow being big in that regard, where lots of developers might now be able to stand up you know, a marketing or a landing page or something like that a little easier than maybe before.
And I think we're going to see more of that when the plugin marketplace comes to life. We're going to see more of these technical people come over. There'll be an opportunity to make some money. There'll be an opportunity to sell something. So yeah, I think that skill, the two combined, really valuable.
Let's see, Pat.
Nice. Tyler, can't wait for the accountability groups. Me too.
Yeah, that's going to be fun.
Nice. Yeah.
Pat here is saying, Aspiration as a freelancer are going to be much easier to navigate with Webflow and no-code tool stack. Pat, I'd like to know what specifically. You know, is it just the ability to build, to be able to iterate, the type of products you're going to be able to offer somebody? Is it the, you know, what specifically is it? And I'd also like to know, you know, we asked the prompt about what has you excited about your future with Webflow, but we talked a little bit about how it started versus how it's going. So feel free to also share, you know, like any thoughts you have about what you've done in the last couple of years. You know, has this helped you quit your job? Has this helped you land more clients or add a little side hustle or a little side income or whatever? You know, maybe it's turned into a full business and now you're, you know, you've got 3 people working under you or 10 people working under you. I don't know. So in addition to what's in the future, you know, feel free to brag a little bit about what Webflow or what this community or this work has done for you so far. Here it is right here. Stone Lang is saying, yeah, Joe, take that one.
Stone, it's completely changed my life. I've owned restaurants for 15 years. Once the pandemic hit, I shifted my focus to Webflow, and now I'm getting freelance projects. Wow, that is an impressive and dramatic change. That's really cool. You know, I've heard a lot of people in more of a corporate world moving to Webflow, but I haven't heard restaurant into Webflow. So that's really cool. Thanks for sharing that, Stone.
Yeah, and I want to talk a little bit about this potential here. Shout out to Melissa, who's in the audience here. But she tweeted earlier today, and this just goes to the potential of Webflow. I just saw this post on the Webflow Party Slack. 13-year-old making Webflow tutorials, and she's so good. And so here is this, you know, YouTube tutorials by, again, you know, like not a ton of views, but look at them out there doing this. You know, and I think we're going to see more and more of this. What happens over the course of time as people get as excited about Webflow, students get as excited about Webflow as they do about Minecraft, or they do about Roblox, or whatever the kids are playing these days. What's a Fortnite, or I don't know. Like whatever the the game of the week is. What happens when people start understanding that, hey, maybe I could pay my way through college for this. Or we have somebody, Joe, how old is Simon?
I think he is 17
16,
now.
17, yeah.
Yeah.
So, like people are getting into this, and you hear these stories all the time where it's just like, I don't know, like we saw, who was it, Glenn at the open house, did the no code kids thing. And you hear some stories about how they're impacting kids, and it's just super cool to hear some of this. And then I just wonder, like, what does that mean for a small swath of kids? It's not going to be everyone, right? This isn't going to be mainstream. It's not going to be as popular as like a Fortnite or something amongst the kids. But I think at some point there will be a small percentage of folks who get into this, and next thing you know, they're driving Lamborghinis at college or something, or they're like, they got the penthouse condo instead of living just in the little like lofts. They got like the the dope little, as a freshman in college, they got the whole spread.
It's funny to laugh about that, but it could actually happen.
Yeah.
That's the wild part about this industry, that could actually happen. If you start at 13 and you're working your way up until 18, yeah, why not? That
Right.
can work.
Right.
So yeah, that's funny and realistic.
Yeah. And not only that, but just think about, as we're talking about the potential, bringing it back to the conversation today, think about how many people in our audience today are making thousands and thousands of dollars, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of years or time, millions of dollars, right, over the course of the next few years. That's easily, 64 people watching here. If y'all are successful freelancers, somebody's got agencies, between everybody, there's millions of dollars worth of revenue coming in on, Webflow. And it'll just be, again, like, what does that turn into? What opportunities does that create for people? I don't know. Let's look at this. Let's see. Michael Collins. Sorry, I'm late. Just got back from paying my taxes.
And right after that, a great comment from Tony. Tony says, I'm excited about the increased adoption rate for Webflow, feeling the need for qualified folks to help migrate existing sites and Webflow specific technical experts. Going to lean hard into dev only. Nice, Tony. Yeah, just the adoption rate increase in Webflow is a huge win for all of us. As more people come to the platform, we're going to see agencies growing. We're going to see more people start agencies, more people share the word of Webflow, and now this is going to just grow massively. We know this is happening, but I mean, it's really happening. We've been here for 6 years now, and it just is more intense every single year, the amount of people coming to this platform.
Right.
So yeah, Tony, nice. Dev only will be a full industry, I'm telling you.
And this is that ride the wave moment. This is why, like, this your future with Webflow, and this is why it's all about, like, what you like. This is going to be about looking at the opportunities. So as we go through the rest of this episode, like, looking at how you can take advantage of these opportunities, because there's going to be so many. Right? Whether it's building websites, whether it's building templates, whether it's creating content, whether it's educational stuff. There's so much money to be made in education in this space. So much in not just this space, but in the no code in general. And so whatever your, fancy is, whatever you think, like, there's just opportunities here. And I think that's where it's, you're on the front edge. A lot of people are jumping into this space, and they're seeing things like what Finsweet's doing, or they're seeing, someone like a Timothy Ricks, or they see, I don't know, the people who are leading in the space, and they're like, damn, I'm never gonna be able to compete with this. Well, we've only been doing it for so long too. Like, somebody in the audience, we talked about, this is gonna come in a year from now, they will have not been known in the space, and then now they'll be at the top, like, they just will. And so, yeah, I don't know. There's going to be a lot of shuffling, and we're right on the front edge of that. So I would encourage everyone out there watching just to think about, like, how you can find a unique positioning in that, and then just dive in head first.
Yeah, and we've talked about this a lot, comparing yourself to others. You never want to do that.
Yeah.
It's just When you're looking at your personal progress, you can't say, "Hey, I'm doing this compared to this person's personal progress."
Yeah.
It just doesn't work like that.
Yeah. Yep. Jeff McAvoy saying, been a graphic designer for 20 years and I'm adding development to my skill set thanks to Webflow. I feel I can build any crazy idea I come up with. That is a superpower.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's that. I think that's the thing that's leading to the virality of the growth of Webflow, right? Because
Yes.
Jeff gets this skill. Maybe for a long time, Jeff's been trying to figure out how the hell do I take these beautiful designs that I have and get them onto the web in a way that doesn't require me beating my head against a developer's translation layer, where I'm just like, come on, like we got to be able to figure this out. Like, why did you put the extra padding there with the thing? And why did, it's like now you go in and do it yourself. And that becomes like a superpower. And that's, I think, again, that's what leads this viral loop here in the Webflow world. That's what's going to continue to lead the loop. Listen, if you know anything about exponential, that's what you have to understand here, right? Is that today, like things are growing in the world of Webflow exponentially, which means the audience and the amount of users and the amount of like people looking at this is just going to keep growing. And that, if you understand exponential growth, 30 steps exponential does not equal 30 steps, like if you take 30 steps linearly, you end up 30 steps away. You take 30 steps exponentially, you end up 1 billion steps away. Right. And so you have to understand how that's going to grow over the next few years. And I don't know. It's not going to slow down.
And I think feature updates from Webflow will be something that pushes that exponential growth. Maybe even it almost like a fire that's just going to make it rise more and rise more. Think about a more full e-commerce feature set. Think about the logic feature set. Now, so many more businesses are qualified to use Webflow for their use case. Now there are so many more people interested in the platform. So as we see these new features, that growth becomes more extreme.
Yeah, I agree. And Nimesh, I think this is a super achievable goal here, hoping to work for an agency full time.
Nice.
I think lots of agencies will be born and grow, and maybe you're the one running an agency, so maybe you don't want to, but maybe at some point you will be, maybe that's the next step there. So Lucas, hello everyone. Let's see, Greg, hello, only a build or two every now and then. For me, I hope to progress things more now so I can become fully location independent income wise.
Nice.
That's a great goal.
Yep.
Yeah.
And Greg, you can totally get there.
Absolutely. I'd be interested to know, Greg, what's holding you back. It says only a build or two every now and then for me. Is this because you're just not getting lead flow? What's holding you back from doing this sooner? Feel free to follow up with that. It'd be interesting to know, is this like a self-imposed pacing at this point? Or would you do more if you could do more? Because I could see, 6 months to a year, you making that a reality. Take that one, Joe, if you want.
I don't use Webflow, but I can relate to a lot of what's talked about here with other platforms I use. The business talk is what I come for. Great topics. Great topics as always. And Brianna, I've been focusing on becoming a developer over the past year. Webflow has allowed me to just go forward and start building and working. Nice. That it's like it's a gateway to becoming a developer of any level. You can stop right at the Webflow level and you're a front-end Webflow developer. You can continue going, learn a little bit of code. Maybe now you can start making more custom Webflow builds. Or you can go to the next level and start hand coding and create applications in Webflow. But Webflow, it's that great starting point.
Yeah.
It really gives you that base knowledge to say, I want to do this. I don't want to do this. I can do it. I can't do it.
Yeah, it's like that. What's it like? Gateway drug for code.
Yes. I was trying not to say gateway drug, but I'm glad you said it. It is. It's like a gateway drug.
Right. It's like it just starts opening the door. And that's one of the things that I think people who dismiss Webflow is like, oh, Webflow is just, whatever. They don't understand that you're actually learning HTML, CSS, and JavaScript in a visual interface. And that the more you learn about that, the better you get at understanding technical complexity of the web. And the more you dig in, the more you want to figure out how to add more of this stuff. And I think that is like, I think that's one of the unique value prop that goes overlooked by most people who dismiss Webflow kind of at a glance.
The development skill, the development knowledge, I think has led me to a more simple life and just a more clear life. I think development, there's this really objective nature to it, where there's the right way, the wrong way, the more efficient way, the less efficient way. And there's this big urge to be really efficient in development, even at the Webflow level,
Yeah.
right? We want a good class structure. We want this organization. Those same principles at a higher level happen as well. If you're creating an application, you want it efficient. So the more that I learn this, the more that I think about it, the more I apply it in my personal life.
Yeah.
So it's a very exciting skill for me. And yeah, I could see Brianna right there with me.
It's just so useful to understand these concepts as we go into a more digital world. That's just it. Like, more and more of the world around us and the things we touch every day are powered by software. The more you understand how that software works and what's happening behind the scenes, like, the better you get at kind of understanding the processes that are taking place all around you. And if you're looking to enter that world as somebody who's trying to make money off of those things, then understanding how those processes work becomes like super important to like actualizing that goal. So I don't know. That seems like a natural progression there for anybody who wants to take some of those steps. So Daniel Infante, I'm a graphic designer from Mexico, but I'm trying to become a full web developer. Just made my first website in Webflow, but I would love to land more web projects. Nice. Go, Daniel, go. Let's see, Juan Cardona. Just getting started and coming from a coding boot camp. Excited that I can now dedicate time and resources to learning how the industry works as a whole. I'm not just coding all day anymore. Okay.
Nice.
That's great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Webflow gives you that opportunity to do other things.
Yeah.
You spend so much less time in development that you now have more time to learn a different skill, a different anything. And one that right here that says it.
Yeah.
Learning how the industry works. That's so important when running an agency and even freelancing.
Yeah, and I'd be interested to know, Juan, like, what are you spending the time on now? That, you know, like, is it growing the business? Is it generating the leads? Are you speaking specifically to Webflow here? You know, or just the front end stuff? So you have a little bit of the back end, or I don't know. Like, I'd like to know like a little more specifics about where you're spending your time and how you're growing and taking that next step there after the boot camp. Here's one for you, Joe.
Okay, we have Ansul. I'm looking to figure out how to charge $4K per month and work with fewer SaaS clients over long-term maintenance agreements. Currently working hourly with over 5 clients. Okay, great. Those changes can be hard. That could take you a whole year to completely swap out that model and go to a different model.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's nice that you know what you want, what you don't want, and you're ready to make that change.
Yeah.
Cool.
And I'd be interested to know, are you talking about 4K a month per client or 4K a month total with these clients? Or if are you getting that type of income hourly with these 5 clients? I don't know. I'd be interested in knowing a little bit about that transition. How are you planning on make that transition? Are you moving the hourly clients over? Is this something you just want to do, or is this something that like your numbers have led you to believe maybe a value proposition change? So as y'all get in here and share these thoughts, we'll ask some follow-up questions, and maybe you can clarify and we can get a little deeper on some of these discussion points. I don't know how much time we'll have to get into all that, but yeah, wherever we can, we'd like to dig in a little deeper. Hi, Tanek. Good to see you.
We have a lot of comments. I'm already lost. We have a big queue lined up here.
Yeah. Okay. Gabriel Dufresne, hopefully an efficient path from Webflow to Shopify builds. Yeah.
Nice.
Yep. Shane Gray, do you think Webflow will ever try to compete with Bubble? I think they are trying to compete with Bubble on the back end. I think they're out competing them on the front end right now. But yeah, I think their goal is to be as robust a back end tool inside of Webflow as Bubble is. Joe, any thoughts there?
Yeah, well, I have to think that Logic is in that direction. We only saw a small preview, a little tiny peek into Logic, so we can't assume too much, but we have to assume that it's on the path of Bubble.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that's going to take, though. Bubble is a very complete platform when it comes to building the back end. So this is going to be a long-term thing.
Correct. As good as Webflow is on the front end, Bubble is on the back end, and that's a big advantage to have in the space. The logic and stuff Webflow showed in their little preview and what I think they'll release early on is not going to be anywhere near what Bubble has. That's going to be the race in my mind between the no code world is going to be, will Bubble figure out this front end thing, which again, the same way I think it's going to take Webflow a long time to figure out the Bubble back end, it's going to take Bubble a long time to even get close to what Webflow has on the front end. So I don't know. To me, that's the flip flop here. That's where a lot of these platforms, some of them go back end heavy, some of them go front end heavy. The ones that do both well don't really do either as good as one of the ones that do, the front end better or the back end better. And so I don't know. It'll be interesting to see who maybe sneaks up into that scene over the next couple years. Penny.
Looking forward to more awareness of Webflow from potential clients who think their only options are WordPress, Wix, or Squarespace. Absolutely. Nobody wants to spend a lot of time convincing somebody that Webflow is the right option. We know Webflow is the right option, but as more people come over, they'll be asking for Webflow.
Yep.
Not, hey, I need a website. What should I use? They'll come to Penny and say, hey, build my Webflow site for me.
Yeah.
That's what we want.
And more specifically, they'll go to Google because maybe they don't know Penny exists. No offense, Penny, but like there's Pennies all over the world, and they're going to go to Google to find out what who their local Penny is, right? They're going to go searching. This is why content is so important. This is why we talk so much about resources. This is why we talk so much about getting your name out there, because that's the stuff that leads to exponential growth. Because as you put those hooks out there and as you bait the water with all these Webflow resources, over time, as people search and look more and more, right, as this name recognition, brand recognition of Webflow grows, more people are gonna be like, what is this Webflow thing? And if you're the person locally talking about Webflow, Google localizes those search, the stuff is all localized. And so, yeah, the more effective you can be at talking about and building your name around this, as that recognition grows, so will yours. That's why it's so important to be at the front of this wave and to kind of start investing now, if you haven't already, in a significant way on your own unique path to figure out what is it you can do to help you reach, whatever goals you have. So, Gabe, what's up? I don't know. Yeah, we're gonna have to dock some pay for being late. I don't know. Okay.
Nice comment next from Steven Hilario. Lots of future plans: becoming Finsweet Pro, becoming dev only, raising my prices slowly, becoming a Webflow expert, take the JavaScript Finsweet course, and much more.
Yeah.
Nice. Great goals here.
Yep.
Becoming dev only. That's a nice move. If you're thinking about that, it's a good move.
Yeah.
If that's something that you've really been back and forth on. And it may not happen immediately. Remember, this is not, hey, today moving forward, I'm not doing anything else. It's by next year, I want to have 0 design projects.
Correct. And that's a good way to start seeing that progress, is just give yourself achievable bite sizes of that. So maybe don't make it so that I'm all development only. It's, hey, I'm going to land my first development only project in the next quarter. And then, I'm going to land 2 development only projects in the next month. And then eventually you're like, no, I'm good at landing development only projects, and we're just going to go on that, the rest of the way. So yeah. And the rest of that, it just looks like time. It looks like the Webflow expert and the JavaScript course, and even raising your prices is something you just got to take time and work on. And just like you do maybe the dev stuff allows you to become more efficient or raise your prices as you offer new products or new services, etc. So yeah, lots of ways to get that stuff in there. Kat is saying, I'd love the ability to provide full feature e-commerce solutions. It looks like that's one of the things we talk about Webflow and exponential growth. I think we can expect huge bursts of Webflow adoption as e-commerce becomes more feasible, as memberships explode, as logic explodes. And again, these are not going to be, basic increases of adoption. These are going to be step level increases, right? And again, those are exponential increases, which means they're like doublings, and so you're doublings. And so every one of these new major features that come is just going to open a floodgate of people that need that. And guess what? Webflow is going to get more and more complicated to learn as all those features come on, right? Right now, we're in the position where we already know Webflow. We're comfortable in the designer. We're comfortable with all the features. We know interactions. We know how to do all the basic stuff, and probably a little bit more because we've been pushing the limits of it for a while. So as Webflow releases these new features, for us, we just have to learn all these new features. If people are just now coming into Webflow, they're going to have to learn everything we already know, plus all the new features. So imagine how much more that adds to the learning curve, and that's never going to slow down. Just as the growth of this community is going to grow, the knowledge base that you're going to need to be a professional in this space is going to continue to grow. And so, yeah, don't lose sight of that. That's, again, a first mover advantage. If you're watching this and you're not taking actions, that's something to just look at now. It's like, hey, learn it now so that as these new features come, it's easier to add. The more you push this off, the harder it's going to be to break in for a number of reasons. The platform's going to get harder. There's going to be more people doing it. It's just going to become more... It's going to become dense in here, with people trying to make money in this space.
Next, we have Fast Eddie 760. Do you see Webflow enhancing forms? The additional $20 a month for file image upload leads me to look at an external form provider like JotForm.
Yeah.
I would love updates to the form system in Webflow. There's a lot of options, a lot of possibilities. You can really do anything with forms. So, yeah, I don't know. I don't know if they're going to release something, but I think if they do, there's things that people would pay extra for forms.
Yeah.
It's a heavy requirement for a lot of projects.
I don't think they'll touch forms. And the only reason I say this confidently is because WordPress doesn't even have forms. It'll be a plugin. Good forms in Webflow will be handled by plugins and with an API, and you'll be able to build the front end and map all that stuff to some other back end tool. I say that just because there's so many different needs for forms. It's such a hard thing for Webflow to like create a tool that, other than just building a form, will fit the specific workflow of what people need. So I would imagine that's something that will be in the marketplace. So Fast Eddie, $20 a month is probably right. You'll just pay JotForm for an integration to Webflow, or you'll pay, some other, type form or whatever it is. There's products that are built all around this that will probably just easily integrate with Webflow.
Totally agree with that. Next, a comment from None. Can you please show us an example of Swipe.js using Webflow and how to have dope page transitions, please? We don't really have too many tutorials on visual things. We don't have any tutorials on any of these JavaScript sliders or transitions. You may want to go and check out people like Timothy Ricks for that. Who else?
Joseph Barry, Joe Moore Designs, and stuff like that.
There's a lot of good, really good animators, really good Webflow builders that have tutorials on this. But this is not really a Finsweet thing.
Yeah. Melissa, I started the Webflow party because of Georgiana. She's a 19-year-old on the path to become a web designer.
Nice.
That's fantastic. If y'all haven't been to a Webflow party, you should check that out. Melissa's doing a cool thing over there. And then she, Grace, and Keith also do the Webflow shows on Twitter after our Tuesday stream. So 1 o'clock Eastern time on Twitter, they also do some cool conversations. That's been fun to drop in. It's funny because I enjoy dropping into these conversations because we're always leading the conversation. So sometimes there's a lot of pressure to just, say something interesting or just be on the mic. And I used to enjoy just kind of slipping into these live streams or just watching in the background. And so I appreciate those conversations to be able to drop in and not necessarily have to be the host.
Nice. Yeah, that's when we don't know what to do moving forward, we're just going to have an open community chat. Yeah. It totally works. There's a lot to talk about because there's a lot of people here with a lot of questions and a lot of goals and a lot of growth. So I don't think we're ever going to run out of things to talk about. Yeah,
I like this format too, where it's just very conversational. We did it last week. We did it this week. Maybe more relevant to like current issues and different things that are popping up as they come. So yeah, again, we're just experimenting on Thursday. So bear with us and we'll experiment some more. And if you like it, let us know by leaving a like on the video. There's 80 of y'all sitting here and 37 likes. So come on now. What are you waiting for? Melissa Mendez, kudos to them. Yeah, kudos to you. Kudos to everyone in this community, honestly, who makes it so special. So Dale Jensen, I can usually manage to build what I'm intending to do in Webflow, but still tend to default more than I want to brute force method of getting there, working through client first to build my process. So I think probably what you're saying is like applying lots of combo classes or maybe overriding styles. And so in certain instances, maybe you're trying to work with global stuff, but then you find like, oh crap. And then maybe you add combos to fix or do whatever. So that's all part of the learning process. I still do that sometimes, especially if I'm moving fast and I'm working into a project that I got to jump into, and maybe it wasn't built with client first, or maybe it's something I built a year ago before I understood like real good naming structures or whatever. Shit, I guess it'd be more than a year ago now. Damn, it'd be like 2 years, 2.5. Shit.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. Time is moving so fast. Okay. Hi, Demetrius. Kayla. Hi, guys. Sorry you're late. Oh, no. I said sorry. You're not. Sorry. Bye, guys. I'm late. No worries. Welcome. I'm glad to be here. Okay, Pat. 2 big pieces. The community, readily available, growing resources means I can learn on the go and execute website projects that I never would have been able to do without a dev background. Great. So that's the follow-up from the question before. So nice clarity there, Pat. Esteban, yeah. What's up, Jesse? Tanet, you can take this one, Joe.
Nice. Tanet says, as a small studio planning to launch this year, what type of business insurance should I be carrying? That's a good question. I don't know. Reimar, do you have a good answer to this?
I do know about this. I in a previous life was actually an insurance salesman. So I know all about this. You need something called like a business owner's policy or like a general liability umbrella. You know, you can get like for this kind of thing, you probably the biggest thing you need to look at is something like professional liability coverage. So if you make like errors and omissions, or if you mess something up, or let's say you build an e-commerce store and you screw something up, there should be language in there to make sure like you're not liable for downtime or, you know, things like that. But and then any like glaring effects. But you can probably get these policies pretty inexpensively. You need to just find the right kind of broker that sells digital services, and then they'll have some kind of thing. It's usually based on like a cost dollar based on sales. So it's based on your annual revenue. There will be some kind of exposure basis for that with a multiplier. And honestly, for the type of stuff we're working on, it's probably like a minimum premium, you know, a few $100 a year. I can't imagine it's super expensive.
Nice. Great answer. We have from Kevin, do you think Webflow will ever remove the 10,000 CMS item cap? Yes. I don't like to think of this as a removal of the cap. This is not something that they have imposed on us. This is something that is technical debt. They are not able to technically give us more than 10,000 items in the current infrastructure. So we know there's a rebuild coming. We know there's a lot of system updates coming. So yes, the 10,000 limit, I think at some point will not be there anymore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I gotta imagine it's soon. This has been such a big thing for them for years now. So I hope this is something that we'll see in the near future here. MKGin, I don't know how you say that. I feel like it's nice to learn how to make a website, but where the real work begins is making a site a tool the client can really use, like integrating a booking calendar, a blog, or a payment option. Yeah, this is 100%. And this is where this is where getting creative makes a lot of sense. And this is where you make your bones in the business. You know, this is what the no code world is pulling all these different tools in and integrating it, whether you're writing the script yourself or bringing something in off the shelf or pulling in a Calendly or something like that. Yeah.
And this is where the technical knowledge can come in for the big win. If you start integrating the calendars and the tools and the automations, even if you're using no code tools, that technical knowledge is going to really help you selling those features, building those features, and shipping the features. So yeah, that's it's really valuable. And as you know more technical, you'll be better and better at doing that.
Yeah. Yep. Penny's saying here, look for errors and omissions coverage. That's exactly right. Zach Bujazia. I started with programs like Front Page, PageMill, and Dreamweaver, and Webflow is what I always wanted those programs to be. It's never been this fun to build a site. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. That goes back to that superpower Jeff McAvoy, I think, was talking about earlier. I remember getting to the point where I just wanted to be inside the designer building stuff. Like I'd be out at a bar somewhere and I'd see some like transition on some news screen or ESPN or something. I'm like, I wonder if I could build that in Webflow. And I would like take a screenshot of it. And I still to this day I have a folder in my photos app that has like rebuild and Webflow suggestions and things that, you know, like I just stored up because I was like, one day I'm going to, you know, try to copy that and build it in Webflow. So I get you, Zach. It's a lot of fun to just get in there and be able to like build and move, especially when you start playing with some interactions and yeah, some of the more fun visual stuff.
You know what I used to do when I was using something on the web that didn't work, I would look at it and say, let me try to rebuild that in Webflow to see if it can work. Maybe a pop-up or a menu drop down or just something, and say, let me rebuild this component in a working form. And it felt really good, especially when that mistake came from a big company. So if a big company had an error on their website and I said, wow, I just built this component working, it was just a big level of excitement.
Yeah.
So yeah, I remember those days, going back, building, being exciting, just being inside Designer.
Yeah. Alex, this is good advice. Compare yourself to who you were yesterday, not what someone else is today. Yep.
Nice.
Let's see. Nicola Toledo. I've been a developer freelancer for 6 years working with Angular, React, Next, and from this year decided to work only with Webflow and no-code tools because I want to put my client first. Interesting.
Nice.
I don't know if I'd give up those other stacks. I think I'd figure out how to bring those into the game. You know, in the Webflow space, to have that technical background or to be able to bring in some of that like technical stuff into Webflow is really going to be a superpower. I think the people who will dominate this space over the next few years are those developer heavy folks that come into the space that find unique ways to leverage Webflow and their technical skill set. You know, there's always going to be the creators and the designers and the visual folks that want to come in and play with this stuff in a visual canvas. But the folks who are already like building, you know, software at scale or tinkering with stuff, who then come, like the comment we had earlier about being able to do some of the front end stuff and be more full rounded. I think that's where we're going to see like some crazy growth in the space that maybe we're not even anticipating, because they're the ones that are going to do the unique things that we're all like, damn, I need that. You know, we're going to pay them $20 a month or $50 a month or $100 a month or whatever to use that tool.
Yeah, well, it's the difference between creating something that looks nice and creating a solution, a tool. And when you're providing solutions, that's when people get really excited. You can be excited about a piece of artwork, but you look at it and you're excited about it and that's it.
Yeah.
A tool, maybe you use that on every client project, or maybe your business changes because this tool came out, this process came out. So yeah, I have to agree with that. That's going to be a really, really booming side of the industry.
Yeah, that's why we're bullish on products and why we're, you know, focused in that same space.
Yep.
Christopher Coleman, you want to take this one, Joe?
Christopher Coleman says, Webflow and the community has allowed me to hone my love for building with my talent for providing support. Don't quite know where my spot is yet, but I know it's exciting and I feel great about it. Nice. That's a really nice take, a really nice angle on this, Christopher.
Yeah.
Knowing what you're good at, and the support aspect is crucial. You can be okay at building in Webflow. If you give great support, people will want to work with you. If you're amazing at Webflow and you give terrible support, nobody's going to want to work with you. So support, I think, is so crucial.
Yeah. I think there's another part of this that stuck out to me that I'd like to point out, which is the don't quite know where my spot is yet, but I know it's exciting and I feel great about it. I think a lot of people in the space are probably in that column where they're like, this is so exciting. There's so much happening. I know I'm kind of in this. Like I was talking to some friends the other night and it's like, I don't know where this goes, but I know it's fun and I know like it's exciting and there's so much potential here. And so I think this is okay. As long as your activities are enhancing that potential. You know, don't get lost in, oh, Webflow's cool, the community's great, everything's fun, and now I've got a social network, because that'll happen and you'll make all the friends in the world. But also try to figure out like how can you turn that and how are you leveraging your skill sets and what are you doing to advance, you know, whatever those goals are. It could just be that you want to make some friends and have people to build with. Okay, that's a cool goal. But if you're out there trying to build a business in this, don't get too wrapped up in this. You can easily get wrapped up, just like social media. You can get wrapped up in the, you know, the number of likes and the times people retweet and share versus like delivering value content. And next thing you know, you're just caught up building and you don't actually have a business. So don't be the person 2 years from now that's looking back and like, damn, why didn't I, like, why am I not the person doing that? Or why am I not the person on YouTube or hosting the events or selling the products or landing all the new web design clients? Right now you should be figuring out how do you do the things to get you there.
I'll add to Christopher's comment here. I think there's going to be a booming side of project management skill inside Webflow. Right now, agencies are being built, agencies are growing, and you can live a pretty long and healthy agency life without any project managers. But then you're going to get to a level where if you really want to scale, you're going to need project managers. We went through it at Finsweet. And I think a lot of agencies are going to go through this over the next few years, and there's going to be a massive need for project managers.
Yep.
The problem is you can't just take any project manager from some other background. You need to have the Webflow skill, because if a client says something, you need to verify and validate that that's possible in Webflow. So some baseline knowledge for Webflow is absolutely required. That's where your talent comes in, Christopher. You can build things, you understand how it works, and now you can provide support both from the team, the developers that you are managing, and the clients that you're providing support for. Maybe that's for you, maybe it's not, but I know there is going to be a shortage of project managers inside this ecosystem within the next few years. I know it.
Yeah.
It's hard for us to find it. We're looking for them, and it's just hard to find these people, because if you know Webflow, you probably just want to build. But if you have that love for support, you have that love for maybe some organization and management, it could be the right role.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would encourage everyone to look. Webflow is a super innovative platform, but the business model of building websites has been around for a long time. So quit trying to reinvent the wheel and go look at how other successful companies do that, and look at all the roles in those organizations. And don't just think that, building websites or working with Webflow or, like, there's lots of little pieces of that, like Christopher's even saying here. Support is a piece of that. The technical side is a piece of that. Design is a piece of that. And as you see this grow, more of those roles will start to become specialized, and you'll see that agencies want someone to design and someone to build and someone to do other stuff. And like Joe said, someone to kind of manage that whole workflow specific to how Webflow works. So there's going to be lots of, job opportunities and different things that we don't even recognize right now. Right now, it's mostly you build with Webflow, you're a freelancer, or you've got a Webflow agency. But soon, as the ecosystem of Webflow grows and people have huge websites that they need maintenance and blah, blah, whatever, just look at the current existing agency model, and there's just a couple models that are going to be built around that. We did a whole episode on how to make money with Webflow that goes through all those different business models and the different potentials for that, and they're all the same, regardless of whether you're using Webflow or some other tool. Like, the business is pretty much the same. Let's see.
What are we next?
Vibhor.
We have some people answering.
Oh, yeah, okay.
I don't have one picked out. There's so many comments.
Yeah.
Everyone's doing a great job interacting on this one. Greg, with the response, he earlier asked about he's just built a few sites and looking to make that full switch over to Webflow. And a response, I work full time in another industry and have a 1-year-old baby. But honestly, I need to become more ruthless in setting smaller goals to achieve the bigger goal, and then dedicating proper time. Yeah, Greg, this is a really good strategy. You should absolutely. How do you get to site number 3? How do you get to site number 4? How do you get a minimum of this amount of money for site number 5? And just keep working and working.
Yeah.
And who knows, months, year, you'll be looking back and say, wow, I can actually make this jump now.
Yeah.
I'm making this much money. Now I can do it.
And those small victories are so important to getting to the big victory. If you don't have small, consistent wins, it's so hard to get that big win. A lot of people, want to learn Webflow. And it's not like, when you start learning Webflow, there's not just like one moment where you're just like, I know Webflow now. No, you got to learn lots of little things, and then you learn Webflow, right? And so everything else is kind of the same way. It's hard to just be in business. No. You got to get good at, like, presenting your work in a way that makes people trust you, and then attracting attention, and then telling a good story about why you're the person to trust with their money, and then doing these other things. And you got to take small steps that get you there. And so same thing with all this stuff. You know, if you don't like what gets, if you don't measure it, if you don't like watch it, if you don't like think about it, and have like small success, you know, you get frustrated. You get frustrated if you try to tackle too much. So Vibhor is saying, I feel like even if someone is an engineer who does everything by code, Webflow is a great tool to prototype or design at a basic level and export the designs as HTML and integrate to custom code. And again, I think that will get just more and more powerful. Imagine some kind of, I've seen them now, native integrations with GitHub and being able to push the site. And imagine if you could find native ways to link up the back end to the front end. And now you could have designers pushing front end code, just like a front end developer would. That'd be great. Joe, any thoughts there?
Yeah, a lot of people that do use Webflow love it at any level. We're finding that we speak to a lot of technical developers, even non-technical marketers, and when we really intro them to the system, they're like, "Wow, this is great. We don't have this, and this to do." So these back-end developers, these very technical developers, maybe they're not everyday users, but they appreciate the platform and they push the platform inside the company.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's I agree with that.
Okay, here's like a little phase shift. You want to take this one, Joe?
Yeah, Fast Eddie says, what are the income potentials and what does the more profitable offerings look like, such as Webflow plus marketing plus insert other service? Well, I think the insert other service can be anything. And I think Webflow is just a little bit too broad. I think marketing is also a little too broad. Is it Webflow development? Is it Webflow technical work? Is it Webflow maintenance? Is it Webflow automations integrating with other platforms? Marketing, is it SEO? Is it analytics? Is it custom analytics? Is it A/B testing? I just broke down all the different offerings that you can have here.
Yeah.
And you can offer some of them and not offer others. We don't really offer any marketing services. We do all the Webflow services, design to development, technical development, maintenance. So yeah, there's a lot. And I would not think of it broad. I would think of it as way more specific. People are looking for more specific now.
Yeah. And I would even go further to say that like all of these are income potentials, and it depends on the value you generate. And when it comes to profit, that's about efficiency. You know, if you could charge $5,000 for a website but build it for $5,000, well, you could have a bigger margin than somebody who built a $10,000 website who, you know, it costs them $9,000 to build. Right? There's only $1,000 profit margin, even though they're selling a $10,000 website, whereas, you know, the other person's making, you know, a 10x return on the $5,000 site, making it for $500. So the profit doesn't necessarily have to do with any of this. You know, you can get good and create a system and build out efficiencies. This is why software is so appealing, because you turn something that's replicable, like a website, into a product, into something that you can scale then without having to scale your time or your effort in that process. So I would say that finding a way to create systems that allow you to turn your offerings into more of a product type solution is where there's a lot of good income potential. And then increasing the value, you know, finding a way you could double your profit, you just double your price, and you find a way to charge more for the same type of work. Right. And so that could become more profitable. So I'm not sure that you have to even get very specific about a certain service or going into an additional thing. I think you just have to find ways to amplify the value in what you're doing so that you can either charge more or get better at doing that in a more efficient way.
Nice. Yeah, I have to agree with that. There's a lot of ways to approach this. So yeah, income potential, I like to think of it as endless in the Webflow world.
Yeah. Yep. I think Ansel here, this is an answer to the question you read earlier. Yeah.
Okay, Anshul says, yes, currently hoping to move hourly clients over to a monthly fixed retainer to have more steady income. Also, I want to do more design than dev, but have it the other way around right now. Any ideas? Well, I'll start with the design versus dev. There's a lot of people looking for designers. So if you are a good designer, I'm sure that there are people that are willing to work with you,
Yeah.
that want to work with you, that need to work with you. So that's number one. I don't think there's any shortage of good good design work. It's always there.
Right.
And the hoping to move hourly clients over to fixed retainer, yeah, that's understandable. When you go hourly, when you go per project, you have a very unsure monthly revenue. For some people, you don't care about that. For some people, you really care about that, and that really bothers you. So if that bothers you and you want that steady income, yeah, go for it. And I think there are plenty of people out there that would be happy with either model. The key is that you're good. The key is
Right.
that you're providing the right service, that they value the service. And if that's the case, I would think that they would change the model or sign up for whatever model you ask them to.
Yep. Nice. Okay, so Vimilan went from studying bioengineering at uni to doing Webflow, learning a lot and making a ton of mistakes, but it's still more useful than uni.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a resourceful skill that you can go apply. Bioengineering is a very resourceful skill, but very few places where you can just kind of practice tinkering with bioengineering, even though now with CRISPR, maybe somebody's sitting in the lab at home trying to clone a sheep or something, but it seems like there's a lot easier, lot more places to get in with Webflow than bioengineering, but we need good bioengineers out there. So, Nicolay, what do you think about Framer sites? I don't know anything about Framer. Do you, Joe?
No, I don't know.
Okay, so we can't really answer that. Here's another follow-up, Joe, from Juan.
Juan says, yes, sir. Talking specifically about Webflow and how using it has freed up time I can now use to learn the basics of design, brand identity, marketing, freelancing stuff, and everything you need to know to succeed. Yeah, this was before Juan asked about or was talking about how he can do things quicker now with Webflow. And yeah, by doing things quicker, you have more time for other activities. That could be work activities, that could be outside of work activities, but that's a beautiful thing about Webflow. So it's really nice that you're branching out here and learning these other skills.
Yeah, I agree. Dave, sorta a Webflow noob, wanted to say what up. Let's give Dave
Nice.
a welcome. What up, Dave?
What's up,
Welcome
Dave?
to the world of Webflow. Let's see. Making a new Webflow site for the band. Can't wait to publish. Sleigh bells.
Nice.
All right, that's cool too. Send a link to the
That's
music.
that's a great first way to get started. Make a website for yourself. Make a website for a close family member. Make a website for a distant family member, a friend, whatever. It's just a great way to actually do a project that will launch.
Yeah.
Right? We can always do as many practices as we want, but it's a little bit different when it goes and actually goes public. So that's a nice way to start.
Yeah, for sure. Ansel is saying, all you dev only folk, I want to do more design. And Kayla, right behind that, I love design side of things, so I don't think dev only would work. There you go. Maybe if some of y'all are doing dev only and some of you want to do design only, we got some tag teams and you guys can pair up in the audience here and go slay all that work. Appreciate the knowledge share and open conversation. Yeah, glad you appreciate that. Yeah, we appreciate you. Melissa saying same thing. Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Any plans for Easter weekend? Not anything specific. Let's see. Hans Lund, I'd like to develop a certain web page with Webflow, just sales pages. Is it practical to bolt on my client first page to a full non-client first site? Example, using a client first folder to differentiate the class names.
Well, Hans, I will say yes based on this limited information that I have. When I'm asked to make a significant update to a site that was built in a different way, what I do is just start with my new naming convention. It helps me stay separate from what was done. I don't have to worry about breaking something. And now moving forward, I can start this new naming convention. And then another page updates and another page updates. And now half the site is client first friendly. So yeah, use the prefix. You can do, sales dash something. And that will be your prefix for all the new pages. So yeah, just start building right on top of it.
Sorry, I'm laughing at Zach.
What's funny?
It's almost
Zach's
more
a
info at
jokester.
no code comp season. Sleigh bells. I'm brand new to the industry. Background in coding, HTML, JS, video games. How do I transition to web design and land my first client? We've got a whole series of live streams about this. Go back and start at episode 1.
Yeah.
Yeah, go back to the effing growth, growth.finsweet.com or finsweet.com/growth. I think we'll both get you there, and you can check out all those different episodes. We talk about all the different topics you might need to know about this. Okay, let's see. Let's jump to real time here. Slay, that's so awesome. First site I ever. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, sorry. Slay, that's so awesome. The first site I ever built was for my band as well, except it was all made with Macromedia Flash. If only I had Webflow then. That is funny. Wow. You know, since we're talking about this, the first ever website that I built was also for my band, which was on WordPress.
I forgot Joe was in a band. We need those pictures, y'all. We need pictures. We need videos. Everybody, I need you to go scour the internet. Let's go find Joe in a rock band.
Everybody ignore that. That's not a thing. But I did. I built this site on WordPress, and I was so excited. I spent like countless hours building this thing. It was so frustrating. There was just a lot of trouble, but it was amazing to have it live. And that was the first thing that really got me interested in websites, even in digital work, just in general, digital work. This was the most exciting. So yeah, make a band website.
Yeah. And also go find Joe's band pictures. Okay. Let's see. Heck yeah. My full-time job is project management, and the skills help a ton with freelance clients. Great.
Nice.
Yeah.
We have a conversation going where Sleigh Bells responded to Michael. So Webflow consultant is a thing. And Michael earlier was talking about Webflow consulting. This will absolutely be a thing. Maybe it is not a thing right now, but it absolutely will. As of 3 months ago, we actually started charging for consulting. Sometimes we get projects that are so complex and so technical. Before we accept it, we say we need a discovery, and we are going to consult for you. And by the end of this consulting, you'll have a decision if you should move forward in Webflow or you should not move forward in Webflow. So yeah, this is coming. Once more companies come to the platform and the requirements become more extreme, there will be people looking for, is Webflow the right decision for me? And they will pay money for that decision.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming.
Yeah.
It's here now.
Yeah. Sleigh bells, going back to the project management stuff. The need across the U.S. is supposed to grow way ahead of supply for sure. Matt McCarson is following up. Good project managers are hard to find.
Totally.
So, yeah. Let's see. Starting a business. Roland. Starting a business with my wife, a graphic designer. She will design. I'll put them together on Webflow. Hopefully it works for us. We're pulling for you, Roland. That sounds like a good team for potential there.
Nice.
Just make sure to be a little patient with each other. Something I'm learning slowly. Ruben Rice. Hi, I'm Portuguese and I have a question as European and regarding to RGPD. I think he means GDPR. I can use Webflow for my European clients. Thanks.
Not following all of the laws 100%? No. There are different countries that had different requirements and different laws, and there's some companies that follow those laws to different extents. So there are obviously people using Webflow in Europe, but there are some companies that require full compliance, and Webflow does not have full compliance.
Correct. Especially when you get into using forms.
Yes.
Because the form data gets stored on, U.S. servers.
And serving those pages on the U.S.
Correct.
On U.S. servers, there's also problems with that.
Yeah. Bruh Trippin wants to know, Joe, what kind of music did you play?
I was the vocalist for a 90s cover band.
Yes.
Late 90s, early 2000s.
Finsweet karaoke is going down. Harshit and Joe are gonna duet.
Now, I am not a good vocalist. I am not good at singing. I am a good hype man. I can get up in front of the crowd. I can start jumping. I can get people excited about it. And since it was a cover band, everybody was singing along. So you didn't really have to hear my voice during the show.
Where are our meme folks? I need a Joe dancing on a rock concert as like the front. Tanette is saying Grace does this now, and I think she's talking about the consulting thing. I do think I saw a post from Grace not long ago talking about consulting agencies, about not just can they build with Webflow, but about making the transition in their agency to Webflow development. So again, very unique skill set, very unique way to leverage that knowledge. You're talking about before, I forget who it was that asked the questions about revenue opportunities and profit stuff. That's just time and knowledge. You know, the consulting stuff's great because unless you have to like deliver some kind of report, which I doubt is the case in this type of consulting, it's just your time. You know, and once you're done, you're done. Whereas like with building, you gotta like, okay, it's your time, but then you gotta go like spend all, you gotta actually do the building. The consulting, you tell somebody else what to build and then you walk away, and that's what's fun about it.
Yeah, and that consulting side of it, that onboarding side of it is so support driven. So I have Christopher Coleman's comment in mind with the talent and the support. I mean, you could be a professional Webflow transitioner. That could be a role. Somebody that specializes in the transition from one platform to Webflow. They have those. That is a job in larger technical platforms. People that help transitions to AEM, for example, which is a massive enterprise web platform. There are people that specialize in that transition. So I wouldn't be surprised if this was a specialized service moving forward in the future.
Yeah. This is an interesting idea here. Lucas Machado brings up dopamine shoots through every time you are able to successfully build an element in Webflow. That's why it's so satisfying to design, develop. So yeah, I imagine there's some of that game mechanics, especially when you're troubleshooting and then you figure it out. You know, when you're struggling with something and your horizontal scroll or your sticky position won't work or whatever it is, you know, and you just like finally figure it out. You're like, yeah. And so that's, I think there's a little bit of that game mechanics where, yeah, you unlock a new layer and you want to like advance, you know? So maybe it is like one of those games you can never actually beat. You just become proficient. It's like you never become a doctor. You just practice being a doctor. So maybe you're never actually like a Webflow dev. You're just practicing Webflow all the time. Let's see. Okay. Shin Maya has a good question here, and we'll probably peel out here pretty soon, so we'll start wrapping up. Maybe just look at the last few questions here.
Shin Maya says, being a designer and Webflow dev, I also have 3D and animation skills. What would be the best path to use these skills to my favor along with the Webflow designer path? Well, that is a specialized service. There are people who are looking for those skills. I don't know exactly what type of skills you have. Mm-hmm. If you have something like a 3JS skill, if you're in Webflow, you have a very bright future.
Yeah.
There is a high shortage of 3JS with Webflow.
Yeah.
3D animation, hook up with some brand agency, some branding agency, some design agency. I bet you they are looking for 3D and animation skills. You could bring a whole new service offering to their company. So yeah, I would start talking with other companies that need those services, and then you can also offer them on your own.
Yeah. And I totally lost it. I had something there, and then I saw we're becoming Webflow junkies looking for a quick fix and maybe adjust some padding. I totally lost my train of thought on where. Shinmaya. Okay, I had some notes here about possible places for disruption in the world of Webflow, and 3D and VR was one of those. Immersive experiences, interactive experiences, things that just suck you into this thing. This is what everyone's looking for. We talked about this all the time. We talk about story. We talk about the value of like building trust, and these kind of experiences do that. They build that emotional connection, which then leads to like, okay, well, what's here? What's deeper? Let me scroll more. Let me see more of that. And then that gets you to the point where you can tell a story. So I really think as a 3D designer, as a visual designer, if you're playing in some of these mixed media or multimedia spaces, finding ways to bring that into the web, and you're in a place where a good Instagram post or a good Twitter post of some example of what you've built will bring you all the business you can handle. I promise. Find a way to do something super cool that's just going to stand out, eye-catchy, and then find a way to get that in front of folks, and you watch how you're like people are just beating at your door to figure out how to get that stuff into their Webflow sites.
Yeah. Nice.
Christopher Coleman. This is a good follow-up here based on just the conversation today.
Y'all have fired me up. Now with these ideas, honestly, really appreciate the stream as always. Thank you, Christopher. Appreciate that. Thank you for contributing. Really nice comments.
Yep.
I'd love to bring up a comment from Juan before we close up.
Yep.
And he asks, do you have any tips for those of us who decided to learn client first before learning the ins and outs of Webflow? Something keeps telling me I should learn everything Webflow beforehand. Thoughts? Juan, you are correct. Client first is great after you know the basics of HTML, CSS, and Webflow as a platform. There's no talk in client first about how to position something with relative and absolute. We don't touch on that at all. It's about once you know how to do that, now we're going to show you how to name these things, how to organize them in your project, and how to make sure you're using Designer in the most efficient way possible. But you need that baseline HTML and CSS knowledge. I like to suggest going to Webflow University for that. Webflow University has a wonderful, wonderful set of learning material. You can go learn how Webflow works, learn those principles, and then once you're proficient, once you can start making websites, then you go to client first so that you can be in the client first mindset. You can build in the way that we build.
Yeah. Nice. Michael, nice. Talking about the gaps in Flexbox. We talked about that at the beginning of the episode. If anybody's interested in hearing our thoughts on that. Sleigh Bells is asking, episode number 31, how to build consistent income with Webflow. Is this my starting point? Yeah, I think you could go to any of the sales-based episodes. That's a good one. How to make money with Webflow is another good one that I think is probably a little bit more recent than that episode 31. It's probably in the 40s or something like that. I think I remember 40s or 50s. There's a bunch. Go look for any of them related to sales or making money with Webflow or growing with Webflow. There's probably like 5 or 6 episodes just dedicated to that you can look into. Okay. I think that's Tony is saying thank you for all the amazing discussion. Got to roll. Yep, we're thinking the same thing. So we'll answer this last couple ones. Benny here, being a designer first start of this year, I fully committed to becoming a Webflow driven freelancer. Funny thing is I'm learning more coding and did some front end work for a client writing code. Yeah, that's exactly it. That's exactly it. So Lavjal, I don't know, but I think maybe, Joe, this would be an interesting to bring somebody in to do a conversation on. We get so many questions about this. It'd be interesting to bring an expert in on this.
Well, that's going to be so hard. We've talked about this the whole episode. The technical person knowing Webflow. We don't have anybody at Finsweet right now that is super proficient in this and super proficient in Webflow.
Correct.
You know what? As I'm saying that, I take that back. There's 1 or 2 people that are interested in these skills. However, it's really hard to find these people. There's just not a lot of people that are saying, hey, Web3 and Webflow. It's a very hard combination.
Yeah. Yeah, and the folks who, again, crypto's in the early stage. Like if you think back in the early days of the internet was just a set of protocols, right? It's a set of rules that said, hey, if you send information and you use these rules, on the other side, we can read that information. And then we can send back information. That's how we can talk. And then a bunch of computers networked. And those protocols became the early things of the internet. But in those early days, there wasn't like a Google or a Facebook or a Webflow, or there wasn't an interface on that stuff. You had to be a programmer. You had to like tick, and write all the code. And like it was very limited who could access this early internet. Bitcoin is the same thing. And blockchain and crypto and all these things are kind of just a new type of protocols, a new set of rules for exchanging information. That information is value as opposed to just bits. And so there's no good interface for this stuff yet. And we're in the early days where, you know, we're just learning how to abstract code in a visual way, let alone abstract, you know, the code involved in like some of these crypto contracts and smart contracts and stuff you have to learn to build inside these platforms. So I think we're a little early on this stuff. I think Web 2, which is Webflow, will meet Web 3, you know, which is crypto, you know, here in the next couple years. You'll see all this pop out. But I don't think we've even seen the full potential of Web 2 yet. I'm bullish on Web 3, but I think that's still got a lot of shaking out to do. So I don't know. I think we'll see a lot of this pop up over. That was another one of the disruption things, because imagine your crypto site just looks better than everybody else's. Maybe that's helps you sell your NFT or something. So I don't know. It would be good to find who's doing this. If you know anybody, leave their name in the comments. Maybe we'll bring a special guest on and do an episode about this.
Nice.
Okay.
Great.
That's it.
Great stream.
Yeah, it was.
This was nice.
Nice flow.
Really, really great. Thank you everybody for contributing, for writing in these comments. We just came with a general idea, and really the community led this one. So it felt great. And yeah, great content. Thanks.
Yep. Be sure, if you're watching this now or in the future, like the video. We appreciate that. Leave a like. Subscribe to the channel if you're not subscribed. We appreciate that as well. We're closing in on 11,000 subscribers. And otherwise, we'll catch you Tuesday. We're here live every Tuesday and Thursday. See you later. Bye.